Kia ora. My name is Brooke and I'm here with Dale Hunter. We're going to ask some questions about facilitation, positional power and understanding our roles as leaders of groups and just some ethical information around how we can deal with situations that come up in group facilitation. Yeah, so
Kia ora, Brooke.
Kia ora, Dale, thank you. My first question is around the concept of if I was to be in a workshop, for example. I went to a workshop and I had, there was someone who was facilitating and I had an attraction to that person as a facilitator, and knowing that there is many dynamics that are involved with a leader, a group facilitator and a student, and how those dynamics can play out and how I can look after myself as a young woman in a situation where I might be influenced by a male leader, and how I can take care of myself and how that person can take care of themselves in a context of group facilitation.
Yeah, that's a very real and common situation, of course, in workshops, that there'll be attraction between the participants and the leader, and also other participants. There'll be heaps of dynamics going on in the group. That's can almost be sure, take it for granted that that's going to be happening. Yeah. Well, what comes up for me would be really good, would be particularly, I'm sort of imagining that this is a workshop over a number of hours, or what sort of, what might be the context, or days, or
it could be varied, but mostly I'd say around 3 or 4 hours. At festivals it's generally like 1.5 to 2. But in outside of a festival context, often these workshops can go for 3 to 4 hours at a time, and it could be over a weekend. So there's a lot of deep diving, people are interacting with each other over a long period of time. So it would be great to speak about those, I feel.
What came to my mind was that if it's sufficiently long and in-depth workshops, say, perhaps 4 hours up to a number of days, it'd be great if that conversation could be had in the workshop at the beginning, when the parameters for the workshop are being shared, and the purpose of the workshop, that specific situation, which is just so common, could actually be shared by the leader, and just draw attention to that might happen. You might find yourself attracted to me, and I might find myself attracted to you. To actually talk about it, and make some suggestions, and perhaps for the leader to give the assurance that I won't be acting on attractions that I have during the workshop. And I would encourage you not to either, but to be aware of them, to kind of take that into account, and just to be with that, and to see where that goes with you. It might be something that happens to you on every workshop you go to, or it might be very, very uncommon, but just to be with that, and perhaps after the workshop to talk with someone else outside of this room about it.
So from your perspective, do you feel that it's okay to go into this dynamic, or do you feel like as a role as a facilitator and a participant that it should be I don't want to say avoided, but it should be something that's like really thought about?
It's not acted on.
Well,
for myself, I would say that I wouldn't act on it myself, and I actually never have. Although I went right through the 60s and the 70s, etc. And no, I don't personally. I don't think it's a good idea. But it's certainly, I have seen sexual attractions acted on during workshops, quite a bit over that time, and also community situations which have been based on open sexual relationships over a long period of time, etc. And all the issues that come up from that. It's a very big area. It's something that we need constantly to be talking about and working with.
Absolutely.
So I think it's great that you and Karina are looking into this issue. And I'm not saying that I have the answers, but I think by looking at it and particularly seeing what can be put in place so that there can be more safety around relationships within workshops. I think that there can be quite a bit done to mitigate some of the worst versions of this.
Absolutely. Yeah, because I understand for myself as a young woman, I can go into a workshop and seeing the person in leading in power, there's often a glow about them. There's an attraction, and I've seen it happen in myself, and I've seen it happen to many others. Women who end up giving their power away to these people in a position of power, and that creates a dynamic which can be very unhealthy and can be quite traumatic for a lot of people who do that, who give their power away to somebody else. And we've seen that in the guru complex for years.
Absolutely. And I mean, if you think of other situations which are a little bit comparable, like school situations where you might be attracted to the teacher, or the teacher attracted to the student, or university, with lecturers and students are attracted. Usually those professions and situations now have codes of ethics which specifically address those situations and the importance of not acting on them. So there's certainly a lot more awareness now in public institutions about the damage that can be done with unaware relationships between people with power and people with less power. And of course it's such a big aspect of feminism too.
It is.
It's so important that we empower ourselves and not get ourselves into these situations. Although I guess probably we all will have done, at least to a certain extent, at some time or other.
Definitely.
So it's not that they're always totally avoided, but to learn from them and to try and minimise those the damage that can be done, really.
And I feel a part of that would be learning how to self-facilitate.
Yes.
Yeah.
Very important. It's so good that you say that, because when I think of the core skills of facilitation, particularly as we teach it in our organisation Synergy, we talk about three most important aspects, and one is, the most important of all, is self-facilitation. That is the basic skill set and knowledge base. And then there is facilitation of one other person, because when we're facilitating a whole group of people, we're also interacting one-on-one with people. So that's a whole set of skills too, one-to-one facilitation, and then facilitation of the whole group and working with the dynamic of the whole group. So those are all basic skills for a facilitator.
So a participant and a leader facilitator would have their support person, and they would have their practices in terms of if something came up for them.
Well, I think that's a good idea to have that. Yeah, I was thinking more of the facilitator learns certain skills which work well when you're facilitating one other person, which are a bit different than working with the whole group. Things to do with connecting and eye contact, and just making a contact. That's a little different when you actually got to hold the whole group. You've got a large family. But yes, those are important skills. But I think you're also maybe alluding to the need, particularly in a longer workshop, for there to be a structure set up.
Yeah.
And hopefully made explicit at the beginning of the workshop. What is suggested that you do if you find yourself becoming triggered, or if you're finding yourself that an interaction is upset you in some way, or even if you're feeling so attracted to someone that you feel that you've got to act on it or whatever.
Sure.
But some talk about the different situations that can arise and what we suggest you do. There might be, for example, if there's a co-facilitator, and it's always great to have a co-facilitator, that we encourage you to come and talk to this person about that, and just work it through a little bit so that you can be fully present and not distracted in this way. And at a festival, it could be that there is a place, like a wellbeing tent or something, where there's people there who you can actually go and talk to, and it's known that it's a good idea to do that, etc. So build in something into the structure.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
Integration support.
Yes,
Yeah,
that's a good. What a good way. That's a good thing you can call
it.
it.
It's a really powerful word that I'm seeing it appear in lots of different modalities and experiences where people go and they have a peak experience, and they often get left quite open and raw, and then it's like how to pick up those pieces that we might have been revealed within ourselves, and just having those structures in place, so then we can have the support, we can have the network of people who can help us.
Yes, that's really good. And also, just what came to mind was at the end of a workshop that I went to, one particular workshop, I had a really powerful experience, like as I was leaving the workshop, and that required a lot of integration. It was a wonderful experience, but the workshop had just finished, and it would have been great if there had been someone who had been mentioned during that workshop, which was 3 days, that if you have a powerful experience, you might like to contact this person, one of the leaders or something like that. Just being aware that the workshop begins before it starts, and it ends after it finishes, as it were, and that can be brought into the whole structure of a successful workshop.
Absolutely. Yeah. Wow, it's great information.
Yeah.
Thank you, Dale. Yeah.
Great.
Thank you so much. I feel like that's us for today. Yeah. Cool.